Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us for Politically Incorrect Knitters. I'm Deplorable Knitter, and I am joined, as always, by the fantastic and lovely Ann Pinkava. Hi, Ann.
Hello.
Ann's like,
Hands
okay,
trying. It's a day.
we're both trying. It is a day. But we are sponsored by Chicken Lady Fiber Arts, and you can enter to win this ornament kit by commenting on this video. And this ornament kit has everything that you want and need to make it. There's a Chicken Lady measuring tape in here. There's an extra skein. There's a couple of stickers. So this is like a package of fun just for you guys from Chicken Lady. And we have a new code this month, because it's September now. So
This month's code is baby20 PIK because it is premature baby awareness month. Woohoo.
interesting. I'm pretty sure that Lynn said her baby was premature. So that's probably why it's important to her. So cool. For all you people out there. Cool,
Are
cool.
you? But like,
And you can,
but sorry. But like I said, baby 20 PIK and get beautiful, beautiful yarns like this one, which is named Meh.
yeah, I've always said that I think it's kind of meh, but the more you show it, the more it does grow on me. Although yellow is still like one of my least favorite colors, right above orange, I think. Like they're just not anything I'm interested in, but it's
I
all
know.
of her yarn is
Whereas
lovely and different. And
I know. Whereas
yeah,
I love this. I love this canary color. It's lovely. It's got like little tiny speckles of blue in it. So like it's like it may be just the gray yarn, when hand dyed yarn breaks a little bit and you get just the little like the different parts of the dye kind of split up a little bit. That might be what the blue is because it's so delicate, but yeah, it's awesome. I love it. And I love both yellow and orange. So
I said that about orange, but when you got up, I saw your sweater and it's so pretty. So I think it just depends on the shade. Like if
mm,
it's like Roy G. Biv rainbow colors, those aren't my jam, but like that's so pretty.
I know. Sorry. I showed this a little bit ago, but this is the Benedicta with changes by myself. But the original pattern is Knitty McPurley with Tuscan knits. It's beautiful. Anyways,
Pretty fancy stuff.
fancy, fancy.
So, I think if you guys were watching Knitting Wars, you may have remember I was knitting on Knitting Wars. This is exactly as far as I got that day. This is for my co-op class for knitting, but it
But
had been taking shape inside of my brain, right? And so what I did this week is, because I'm a normal person who is always super prepared for everything I'm doing, um, doesn't wait until the last week to knit the pattern that's not written yet, or to figure out
never.
what the students are using. And so I just spent 2 mornings dyeing the yarn for my students. That's obviously the correct choice. But it's kind of cool because as I was dyeing them, like I kind of had ideas in my brain about what we were going to do for different things. And then as I was making the colors, I was like, okay, yeah, now I can see it coming together. I've got like a theme, I've got a plan. So, like this pink, the reason I had to dye for 2 days is because this pink and the green were like, this was like Kelly green on fire, like my retinas are burning, and this was bubblegum pink. So today I had to put some teal on top of the green to make it a little bit bluer, a little calmer. And I put some burgundy on top of the pink because the bubblegum color was awesome, but it didn't go with my other colors, my purple and my blue and it was too much. So now that I've got the colors fixed and they're all in the correct family, here, I'll show you, because I was holding all of these, because really it's no fun unless you have this many of them for all of your students. So I was doing this. They're falling down as I'm trying to show you. So I was doing this.
That's awesome though. And get the kids addicted to hand dye yarn early. They'll never want crack.
I, yeah. So I, the reason I wanted them to have hand dyed this time though is because they've been in my classes. This is their third year in my classes, and we've done like different kinds of acrylic and different like um last year we used like one of those like single spun kind of acrylic yarns. And I was like, this is their last project with me. We're going to do all the fancy stuff. We're going to do beading and brioche. I was like, I just want them to have, if they don't keep it for themselves, I want it to be something that they can gift to their mom or their grandma or sister. And it's just like a really nice item. You know, I
Yep.
wanted them to just, you know, every yarn has its place, and we're making a really nice item. Like, so I figured we needed to use the quality stuff. And so I tried to get yarn for them, different stores, different, I checked out Chicken Lady and stuff. And just for the price I was charging for the class, I couldn't afford to get them, you know, fancy hand dyes. So I had to do it myself because see, I'm, you do this too, Anne. There's something that I could have done that would have taken me, I don't know, an hour of shopping or something. But no, I took the option that took me 2 days to get the colors
Oh yeah.
correct so that I could,
Yeah.
because I had time for that. I didn't have time for that. Not even a little bit. But
So
here I
two
am.
days, hours of your time, all this mental thought. But it
Yeah.
also kind of reminds me of when I learned to spin, and it's been a while since I've spun anything. But why did I learn to spin? Well, because I really love the texture of hand spun yarn, but I couldn't afford it. So, in the
So
wait
there you
between
go.
time and money, I went with
Yep.
spending my time, and I mean, it's beautiful. It's lovely.
Yeah. No, and I'm like happy to do it for my students. Like I said, these girls have been taking my classes for 3 years, and I want them to have like something really fun and awesome at the end. But also, I my mom and I spent a day this week planning curriculum. I think it was Tuesday. I think we did it before Knitting Wars. And just a whole day of like sitting there and going through books and looking at different things I have. And she goes at the end of the plan and she goes, "You have too many things to do. You need to cut back." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, sure." And then the next day I start dyeing yarn for my students. And I'm like, "I don't think this is what she meant." Like, I'm pretty sure I did not listen. Sorry,
Right.
mom.
I tried.
So I do try. Just can't help it sometimes. Life, I don't know.
Mhm.
So those are my stories. This is what's been going on in this household.
And have you said before what you're gonna, I mean, you just mentioned that you're gonna do beading and brioche, but are you making a shawl in your class? Or are you
It's
making a
a
cowl?
cowl because it's me.
Cowl? Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
we're
but
gonna
cowls are
do,
very practical.
yep. So it's gonna have a color work section. It's gonna have like a lace section. It's gonna have some beads. It's gonna have, I think we're gonna do just straight up 2-color brioche in the round, like
Okay.
just so they can get the hang of it. Um, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how far this yarn gets. I kind of thought that they had more yardage on these little minis that I got my hands on. They're only 27 yards a skein though. I thought they were 47. I must have been. I Okay, so guys, I don't know if you do this, but I have a habit of waking up around 3 in the morning. And then when I wake up at 3 in the morning, I often can't go back to sleep. And so that's when my brain is in overdrive and then I end up doing things. So that was the day, because every idea is a good idea at 3 in the morning. So that was the day I
This
decided
is
that
brilliant.
instead of trying to find yarn for my students, I'm just going to dye some, because obviously that's easier than, maybe doing a little bit more coupon shopping than I was. No, nope. So I thought it was like 47 yards of yarn. It is not. It is 27. So I hope that 5 skeins a student is enough. So that's the other reason I got to get this going, because I might have to dye more for them. Lucky for me, I ordered more than I needed, and it was still in budget. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Nice.
But everything is a good idea at 3 a.m. It's terrible. Nobody should be allowed to shop on their phone at 3 a.m. If you are in your bed
I
in your pajamas, it should be like a those keshva things they make you do. There should be like a list of questions. Are you in bed? Did you just wake up? or have you been up and not been able to go to sleep? Like any of that stuff should like disqualify you.
Exactly,
You're not
exactly.
making good choices.
You know how you have to sign into websites to say, click, I am over 18. Or, like YouTube content, it'll be like, hey, are you an adult? And be like, yes, I am an adult. And be like, hey, is it after 11 in your time zone? And before, I would say 7 in the morning. It's like, if it is that,
Well,
no, you're not allowed. Some people
I'd
get
say
up
six
earlier,
because
some people are brighter, that way.
yeah.
I'm not. I should not make purchases above before 7 in the morning. No. Speaking of my stupid purchases,
Hmm.
what?
Well, I was going to say, look, they're pretty small. I think that I might have to dye up a couple more skeins. So I wonder what colors those will be. I'll have to think about it
Ooh, it'll be a
because
fun
my
day.
variegated incorporates the colors I have already. So now what do I do?
Hmm,
Right? I don't know. We'll have to think about this. I could do a different blue or something, like something that still coordinates. We'll see.
maybe. Or maybe a variegated with two colors. You could do speckles.
Hmm. I tried to do speckles. I don't know how to do speckles. It turned variegated. I'm like, this works too. That's the fun part about doing this kind of thing. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I am no chicken lady. I am just gonna wing it and see what happens. Here we
Like,
are.
like I am not a professional.
No, but it was fun. I liked it a lot. I could recreate all these too, which is fun. So that's it's neat, different.
Nice.
So yes, I want to know about your stupid purchase.
Oh no, my stupid purchase is and sorry that there's a book group that is run by the lovely Amy of Two Sisters, and she's very lovely in that she like puts plans and things, and I just bust into book group and say, this is what I'm reading, hope it fits. She has this lovely little bingo card going, and I'm like, that's wonderful, I hope whatever I have fits that. um but I mentioned it, oh, I think I mentioned it on Tuesday. I don't remember now. It's hard because for me, for you it was one day rest the other, but I did 3 live streams 3 days in a row, and
Oh,
I'm not one of those people who can do that. I'm know that we did our live stream on Sunday night, and then I joined the Knit Night podcast on Monday, and then we had Knitting Wars on Tuesday. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't not sure I have that much to say. But anyways, on one of those, I mentioned that I've been reading Solomon Kane by Robert E. Howard, and it is so good. It's the same guy who wrote Conan the Barbarian, but Solomon Kane predates Conan, and I haven't read Conan yet. I'm going to read Conan. I love this guy. Like I'm so in love with this book. I'm like, okay, fine. I guess I'm a Conan person now. Once it shows up, that'll I this is me. I'm
was that a middle of the night purchase for you or no?
yeah, it was. Uh, no, but it was a middle of the night purchase for me. Um, but not only that, but okay, so Solomon Kane is so cool that he is this very like cavalier sword fighting character. He's a strict Puritan, but the narration is kind of funny about that because old Robert in the audience, he's like, yeah, he's not as strict as a Puritan as he likes to think, but if you ever said that to him, he'd be very upset. um but anyways, but basically the run of his stories is he's just wandering the world, fighting wrongs, avenging the just, but most stories it's like, oh, so there's some bad guys, and he's like, yeah. Yeah, if there's like a ruffian or a slaver or an evil lord of the manor, Solomon Kane will fight him. That is exactly what's going to happen in this story. If there's a pirate, but most of the time it's, yeah, there's this weird ghost thing and we don't know what it is. Oh, wait, you're in Africa and there's this city of vampires. And so it's kind of horror stories as well as having kind of a realistic setting. But he was pal of love of HP Lovecraft who did the Cthulhu stuff. So you can tell that there's a little bit of mental crossover between the two buddies.
Interesting.
But anyways, it's such a good time. But I
I'm glad
got
you enjoy it.
yeah, you're like, that's nice, man. But I got someone did a sketch version of it stuff. So this is the final poem. So it's a big sketchbook of all of these beautiful pen and ink drawings. I just love them. Um, anyways, they're the best. They make me so happy. Some of the later illustrated Solomon Kane stories will be like they'll because of Conan, and then so this was written about 1923, and then it kept going on. But it kind of hit its heyday in the 80s because Conan the Barbarian, Arnold Schwarzenegger did the movie. So then people looked more into his work. I mean, there was some publishing of the stories in books because they were originally published in magazines. So they did that 60s, 70s, but really hit it off in the 80s. So the some of the later illustrations will be very kind of like D&D. Like when you think very bright colored, very, muscly characters, very buxom women, that sort of a the colors are all, hyper bright jewel tones. So they'll do that. And I mean, that's fun. That's a good time. But the black and white pen and ink is no, it's like, no, he's not. This isn't this is a monster story, but this technically it's what they call sword and sorcery. So yes, it is that kind of a thing. It is, but the I don't know. It's a 1600s thing, and having 1600s illustrations with it, that sort of style is phenomenal. Anyways,
Very cool.
see,
I'm
I
glad
spent
it makes you happy.
yeah yeah. So I spent not a lot of money, but probably more than it's worth on a couple of promotional sketchbook things.
Because we always make the best choices when we're shopping in the nighttime.
Yes.
I always make super fantastic
Yeah.
choices.
Great choices. You just had to have it.
Yep.
Just shut the window. You don't need it really. It's fine. But do read the book if you think that's going to be your thing, because they're really good. And the way it's written very quickly. It's very exciting and sometimes gruesome because, like I said, they're kind of horror stories. But it's very poetic, but it is not drawn out at all. It's kind of, this guy had a word count. He was staying in it, and the story drops you in the middle. It's fast, it goes, it's a great time, and there's not a lot of cleaning up afterwards. You're just going to have to imagine that for yourself. So
That's interesting. Very
anyways,
cool.
Solomon Kane, what a
So
dude.
that is cool. I think that you definitely talked about that on our show, at least one of our shows. I don't remember which one because I remember hearing about it. So either way. So how's the self-imposed sock deadline coming?
It is I mean, today is the last day. It's the 31st as we're recording. But I mean, as far as self-imposed sock deadline goes, here I will get to the end of this row because I have for my second to last pair of socks. I've turned the heel. If I work super hard tonight, I could probably finish them, but I have another pair to go. So
So really though, you did it. I mean,
well,
one pair of socks. Come on. I mean, that's pretty
well,
good.
7 out of 8 is not bad for a summer of
No,
sock knitting. But
no, that's impressive.
right, did I technically do it? No.
Well, no, not
But
technically, but I'm just saying it's not like you said, I'm gonna make 8 pairs of socks and you did like two. I mean, like you got pushed pretty hard to the end. So I think that, and you did Shark Week in there. We made that whole shawl. So like, come on.
yeah, and I made it's sitting in a pile looking up at me be with like a big bit of yarn barf on the side. But the Isom shawl, I also worked in that time. And that's
Mm-hmm.
not finished because there's some details of that I have to iron out. But yeah, I mean, I
Yeah,
worked
for the
on,
most part.
I saw some other people during this time. I knit some other socks. But yeah,
You were
for
not monogamous with
I
your
was not.
sock knitting.
No, I wasn't. But here, previous sock from the pair, but I can use this and so you can see how far I've got. Uh, but yeah, I mean that
I really
far.
like those.
You know, but yeah,
Very
they're
cool.
pretty. They're nice. So not quite there, pretty darn close. Definitely not anywhere near when it comes to the second Quinn's quilt.
Yeah.
Okay, it happens.
It's all good. So I guess we've exhausted knitting since I gotta say though, I'm pretty happy with my yarn colors. Like obviously you guys won't be able to see it yet. I'll show you when it gets a little farther, but considering I am not a professional, I think it turned out pretty good. So
Nice.
I was explaining to Anne before we started recording that I have had a migraine for about 3 days now. And it's been so bad, I've been dreaming about a medicine I used to take. So I need to call my doctor and ask about that. But the point of telling you that is
It's
that
like
because
product
of this,
placement in your dreams themselves.
you know what though? It's funny though, because I've been off of that medicine since I had my first kid. So I've been off of that. It's a maintenance medicine. So you take it every night and it helps you, not have as many. And it used to make me sleep really hard. So when my first kid was born, I stopped taking it because little infant sleeping real hard, didn't want to not hear baby needs help. So it's been 10 years, and I think that's why it popped up in my dream, because it's been 10 years. I hadn't even thought of it. So that's my story. So anyway, 3-day migraine. Awesome. I'm really, really enjoying it. If you want to torture somebody, this is a nice way to do it. Um, so yeah, my point is that I have missed out on a lot of things that are happening. Although I did get to have lunch with my brother today, and he is of the same persuasion that there are laser beams involved in the Hawaii fire. And does not apparently agree because she is making faces off screen you can't see. So you're not a fan of the laser beam thing? What about the blue things not being?
Gosh.
Tell me. Tell me, yeah.
So just it's so many pointless extra steps for I mean we have what all of Canada is on fire and and there are proved arsonists in that. But no, for this one, a laser from space. That's the plan, guys. That's how we're going to do it.
Well, my brother's other theory that you're going to hate even more.
Oh no.
They brought the alien thing around because they're going to have an alien invasion and Jesus is going to be an alien. Oh, and these are the
That's too
moments
much.
I wish we were dual screen because you guys are just missing out on the beauty that is this. I didn't say this
This
was
is
my theory, just so you know. I'm just
yeah,
repeating
this
things I've
is
heard.
too much internet for today. I'm sorry. I have to leave now. This That's nice. I'm going home. No, I'm actually in my home. I'm closing the screen.
Oh,
No,
come
don't
on.
worry. Nah, it's not you. Don't worry.
No, it's my
It's
brother.
like
But
it's your brother, but it's like no, no, no.
Well, he was telling our mother about the laser beam thing, and she, on the day we were doing the school stuff, we're talking and going through my curriculum, and she goes, "Oh, by the way, you got to make your brother one of those tinfoil hats that you've been talking about knitting because he's fully fallen in." So there you go.
Just because people are out to screw us, by people I mean our own government, doesn't mean that they're always smart about it.
Hmm. That is true. But yeah, so my point about those stories was though is that that's about as much news as I've seen. That's about as much news as I've been involved in.
News. I'm sure
Oh,
I'm
whatever.
sure I've told this story before. But like one of the just terrible internet, things about it's the Jewish space lasers. I haven't heard anyone specifically say the Hawaiian thing was Jewish space lasers, but it's one that used to pop up quite a bit. And anyways, in one of the X-Men movies, the one where they're younger with Michael Fassbender as Magneto. Trying to remember, it's not Days of Future Past, it's X-Men First Class. There you go. Anyways, there's this scene in it. You're like, what? I don't care. Anyways, so the opening of X-Men, so everyone has superpower and they're mutants, but X-Men movies always open with one thing. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna have an action film and Hugh Jackman is it in it. And it always starts Holocaust 1943. And it's like, oh, this again. Because Magneto, the main villain, who can control metal, learns that he can control metal when he was separated from his family at Auschwitz, and they're tearing him away, and he bends the gates towards him until someone, hits him in the head. Anyways, so
I did not know that.
oh yeah. And
Interesting.
it's a fascinating character because even though sometimes he's kind of mustache twirly, well, okay, all mutants are bigoted and that they think and that's kind of part of the story that they have evolved beyond human beings, and the good mutants say that they want to use their powers for good and be accepted and everything, and the bad mutants say kill all the humans. What do they matter? They're lesser beings. So Magneto being head of their lesser beings team, which is ironic, but also he sees that very strongly drawing the parallel between mutant persecution because the government doesn't trust mutants, which I think is one of the main, not the main. Um, Fox owned X-Men and they did the X-Men movies, which were not all great. But they did the X-Men movies and then they were eventually bought by Marvel, and Marvel hasn't made any X-Men movies, so they keep hinting they do, and Disney, they're having such a rough time right now. They really shouldn't. But the thing is with the current Marvel universe that they are stupid about world politics. Just dumb. Just they can't hold a thought. They can't even create realistic bad guys. They could create a hypothetical bad guy with Thanos, but anything when it comes to world powers, they're so PC about the UN and everything, and the UN are the good guys. And the closest that they were to any sort of actual real villain was, in the first Iron Man, and which the first Iron Man was all weapons development and government contracts conspiracy. And then Winter Soldier, where the Nazis had secretly infiltrated the government and Captain America had to throw them all out. Anyways,
I had no idea that Nazis were so into superhero books. Okay.
that's what
And
Captain
storylines.
America. No, Captain America does. He fights Nazis, but he fights super Nazis that they invented for the comics, so he could fight a super thing.
Oh, well, that's news to me. So, okay.
Okay, well, he did that.
Well,
Anyways,
I've heard the punch a Nazi thing. I thought that was from him, right? Like,
well,
or
yeah,
no?
he punched a lot
Okay.
of Nazis. That's the first comic of Captain America was him punching Hitler on the cover. Um,
Obviously. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
that's the obvious choice. What am I thinking?
that's how you sell comics. There was a point to this story.
Oh, you were
Oh,
talking about how they're all PC. Yeah.
PC. Oh, space lasers. Anyways, all of that was much more meaningful than my original comment, which is when they actually put Magneto, who, for the moment was on team good guy, but he is standing there with the young Professor X, and he's teaching him how to use his powers so they're even stronger. And they actually had this giant radio disc, and he like had to control it, and he's like, oh no, don't just use rage, use good feelings too. And it was literally Magneto moving the super satellite dish while remembering his mother lighting the candles for Hanukkah. Like, it's the biggest Jewish space laser. And which made me laugh a lot because that was one of the things that they made fun of Marjorie Taylor Greene for, is that she believed in the Jewish space lasers. And like, here, this big movie scene. Anyways, enjoyable film.
I didn't know about Jewish space lasers either from the film or from Marjorie Taylor
Or
Greene.
Northland.
So
Or what was there's a couple old, like, I don't know, things that you used to hear about, those, it'd be like Iranians, or somebody saying that the Jews are using dolphins to run into their ships or something, that the bees this time, and different stuff like that. Anyways, hearing those things always made me laugh.
I understand. Can I
There's
just brag for a second? It has
Sure.
nothing to do with any of that. So I'm working on this color work part just out of my head. There's no chart for it at the moment. I'll make one later. I didn't even count my stitches and it worked out right.
Nice.
So there you go. Sometimes when it's time, but that's what happens when I'm designing and it's right. That often happens to me. Or I'll be like a stitch off and I can easily fix it or something. But yeah, so
Right.
there, my little brag for the moment. Just thought I'd tell you.
That's good.
Sorry. That has nothing to do with anything we're talking about, but there you go.
Oh,
Um,
I don't know if what we're talking about has anything to do with what we're talking about.
no, actually it doesn't. You're correct. So
No, besides whenever I hear lasers in Hawaii, I'm like, guys, we've been over this. Okay, it's not as if there couldn't possibly be space lasers of some respect, because we have a space force, but really, no, I'm not buying it. I'm not really, no.
so where do you stand on aliens?
My alien stance is that they're possible, but unlikely. Very unlikely. And don't trust the
we we are hard hitting on this channel. We are talking about all the important stuff. If you are here for the knitting, sorry, I don't know what to tell you. We're talking
well, yeah,
aliens and Magneto. So space
it's very
lasers.
important. And space, yes, space lasers. Better than space lizards, which I'm like,
Those don't sound that pleasant. I don't want to be involved. Thank you.
no, and it's I don't know. Sometimes it's like, oh, so you think the lizards are literal and not metaphorical? Oh, don't let me interrupt you, please. Please continue.
Excellent.
Anyways,
So
but yes, I
this
might, because I said I was knitting those Magneto socks and Count of Monte Cristo yarn, which I think looks very Magneto. But anyways, that might need to rewatch some X-Men, get in the Hanukkah spirit. Um,
Hanukkah spirit for Magneto socks. Is that why you're making them? Okay, so those are the Hanukkah socks, but you're using the yarn that you think looks like Magneto
yeah.
because he's Jewish. For
Yes.
real?
It's a big joke. It's a big
And I love jokes like that. I just need to be more on the same page as you. I guess I need to watch the movies so that when you say these things, I can laugh because I will think it's funny if I know what you're talking about.
I know, and
That sounds so bizarre, but you know what I mean about it.
no, I'm sorry. That's the thing that I want. I wanted to. Okay. I want to make the Hanukkah sock pattern just on its own because I think Hanukkah socks need to be more of a thing. We've got a lot of Christmas socks here. I have a Star of David pattern. I have all that going, and I think it would be. I think that'd be very cool. And I mean, I own a pair of little Star of David socks, which I love and I wear all the time in winter. So to make a pair and all of that would be all very good. But to my particular sense of humor, having having your Hanukkah socks with the most in a colorway of the most famous Jewish comic book character. I mean, and again, even though he's the villain, I mean, there's more Jewish comic book characters. Like Wanda is technically in Scarlet Witch. She's technically Magneto's daughter, which they never mention in Marvel World. So, you know, she'd be half Jewish. Kitty Pryde, who phased through walls. I think I'm trying to think, there's more. I forget. I'm sorry. But, you know, just represent. Sorry, it makes me laugh. I shouldn't think it's
But
so funny, but it does.
see, but this is why I'm starting to look like I feel. I think I was always looking like I feel. But those are the jokes I like. Like I was telling Anne, I wanted to make a hat that said listless vessel because I think that's hilarious. But then the quote didn't really rely on that or contribute to that being a hat so much. Well, I could still make one because I think it's funny as the person who named herself Deplorable Knitter because, yeah, you were trying to mock us and I just thought it was funny because you sound ridiculous. So I don't know. I appreciate those kinds of jokes. I just wish I knew what you were talking about. I'll work on that.
Okay.
So that the
It's
next
right.
time you make a Jewish Magneto joke, I will know about it. I'll be like, haha, that's awesome.
You'll be like, no, it's fun. I have thought, again, I shouldn't do this. I have thought there've been many different Hanukkah sweater ideas that I've had. There was one, I think it was a movie that Seth Rogen did. Anyways, I didn't see the movie. I only saw the ad, but it was one of those, you know, shock jock rated R Christmas comedies. But he was in it and he had this big Hanukkah sweater. They had like little menorahs and a little pattern, but a big Star of David in the front. It was so cool. Like I love this sweater. I have a picture of it saved on my computer somewhere because I'm like not a Seth Rogen fan. Love the sweater though. And having like the ridiculous, ugly, you know, ugly Christmas sweater normally, but a Hanukkah sweater would be funny. But also having a specific space laser sweater would be the bomb. That would just be the
I like
funniest
how you just
thing.
made yourself laugh like that. Like, um, so
Oh,
for the
sorry.
Hanukkah
It's
sweater,
yeah.
I think you should make one. I think you should figure out how to rig it up so that it has LED lights so that the menorahs
Oh,
glow. Because
that
I
would be
mean, if you're gonna put
fun.
menorahs on a sweater, I mean, come
Mhm.
on, right?
How about you know how
See,
you
this
have
is this
sweaters?
is
What
real
if you could
designing.
never wash them?
No, no, no.
I think
There's a way we could filter in like because the LED now that stuff doesn't really catch on fire like other stuff used to. And you could like, I mean, we're not gonna wash it, but you could like make a little pocket or something that it can weave into, and then you could just take it out when you need to. Or you could do that thing. Remember back, you might not remember because I'm older than you, but do you remember when I don't know, maybe it was Levi's who told people not to wash their jeans. And so, like, the thing for a while was that you just put your jeans in the freezer. Do you remember that?
no.
I'm sure people watching will be like, yes, DK, I was part of that too. But it was a thing for a while, maybe in the early 2000s, where they were like, oh, you shouldn't wash your jeans. You shouldn't do this. Just put them in your freezer. And so, what I was going to say is, you could just put your sweater in the freezer. I don't know.
See, I'm on the other side. I'm like, How about we just use some like sparkly yarn? We could sparkle it up.
But come on, you've seen those Christmas sweaters that have the
Yeah,
lights in them
that
and they're hilarious. There's a way that they go in and
they
out
are.
so you can wash it. It's
There
just a
must be
little
some way.
engineering.
I know. I know
Hey, Mr.
that's
Anstad, I know that you know about how to do stuff, so can you help her figure out how to put lights in her sweater? Okay, thanks.
okay, thanks. But
I cannot believe you don't know about the jean thing. It was a thing, and it was weird. And then why were they doing it? Was it to save water? Was it because people didn't like them fading? I don't remember why. There was a reason that like it became a thing all of a sudden. I just couldn't
sounds
tell you
gross.
why.
And it also could be, because I'm a slob or whatever, that, I spill stuff on my clothes. That needs to be washed. I'm not,
Yeah.
what
I
do you
mean,
do in
like,
your life that you don't need to wash your clothes after you wear them? I mean, you've had a full human in them all day for hours. Ew, wash it.
you've had a full human in it. Well, if you only have part of a human in it, that would be another weird conversation. So I guess,
Could be worn by an amputee. I don't know. Don't judge.
I mean, maybe it was
I mean, they're not fully human. There's just, less to go
missing.
around.
I'm not going to put that in. But maybe it has something to do with like, I don't know. I mean, I've got kids and they will like take something out off the hanger. I will say, no, that's not the proper clothing for this weather. And then they will throw it in the laundry basket. So maybe it's to cut down on shit like that.
Fair, fair.
I don't know. I will get things in the laundry basket that are like sweaters, and I'll be like, who wore this? Where did you wear this? Why is it in the laundry? Because anyway,
Sometimes you gotta have those talks. But
because I know nobody was wearing a long sleeve sweater in the past, 3 days. It's been 102. So anyway, that's my story
but
about that.
anyways, I am thinking I probably won't, but with the space laser jokes, the person who I know of in the realm of internet who loves them most is Laura Rosen Cohen, who she does Laura's links for Mark Stein's website. So and she's a Jewish lady from Canada, and she'll always be like, "The space lasers, we're coming for you." But anyways, like
Well, maybe,
this is in memory of Laura, who is still very much alive and very active on Twitter.
and you're an odd duck. Isn't that the saying? No?
Yeah, yeah, I
Your,
yeah.
your sense of humor, I love it, although I don't always get it. So I guess that's a thing. Do we have anything to talk about that's not space lasers, or is this just where we're going today?
Um, we we have a couple of things, but they're kind of downers. So, um,
Hi, the news has been a downer since Biden got in office. I mean, are we surprised?
right.
Although it is
Well,
fun to talk about space lasers, I won't lie.
right. I mean, you got to lighten things up. It used to be in the olden days where, there'd be a celebrity scandal, a famous divorce, somebody cheated on somebody, and we'd be like, oh, well, that's exciting. Princess Diana died, still dead, continues to die, continues to be dead, no matter how many magazines they sell and look backs and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
I think the anniversary was yesterday. Anyways,
Yeah, it
but
was just recent.
Meghan Markle, as much as she puts herself in front of the camera, still not interesting. So we have to
It's
talk about
true.
things like space lasers and aliens to confront the fact that they're impeaching a former president again, again, again.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we have some issues.
We sure do.
But speaking of issues, not
Oh,
speaking of
good.
issues. Um, anyways, in the lovely land up north, and by lovely I mean not so much. Um, this is a lady that we had mentioned before, that she had been denied an organ transplant for not getting the vax. And yeah, that she died this past week because of it.
Oh, I didn't hear about that. That's awful.
So yeah, that is Sheila Annette Lewis was her name.
Mm.
But
Well,
yeah,
that is really sad.
right. And it was one of those things where she's like, not only, do I not want to get this for, belief reasons, or, I've looked at it and said it's not good, but she had serious health issues, which is why she needed an organ transplant. And
Mhm.
she's like, and her doctor's like, yeah, this isn't good for you. But according to the lovely, um, forcible healthcare system in Canada. Isn't it lovely that it's free, that Canadian healthcare? Um, but she didn't have any options. She was not allowed to leave the country to America. She was not allowed to get an organ transplant because that everyone was forced to have what ought to be reasonably an elective procedure. Anyways.
That makes me sad. I mean, so the woman died because they denied her health care because of the shot.
Right.
And see, that's the slippery slope I talk about when I talk about like um the maid thing, right? Is that what it's called?
Mhm.
Um and stuff like that, because they're going to start deciding that, oh, well, you have X, Y, and Z, and that's not worth us treating anymore. Or you have, like, it's right now, it's just people who are deciding that they don't want to live, which is awful in itself. But it's going to turn into them deciding that you don't have worth. You aren't worthwhile to them, to getting treatment. Or, I mean, that woman who couldn't have the vaccine because of her, I don't remember what transplant she needed, but because she of that she couldn't have it, and then they just let her die because they
Oh,
decided that was the best thing.
and not only that, legitimately, no hyperbole, no nothing at all. In her case, it was comply or die. And when she
Mm-hmm.
appealed, she talked to other people. I mean, it became a news story naturally, but
Mm-hmm.
legitimately, comply or die. And she died. Like, and again, it's the, well, why didn't you comply then? No, 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 you're not getting it. The government killed her. The
Mm-hmm.
government of Canada said she could not have the medical care she needed.
Yep, they denied her care because of the vaccine.
And
That
she wasn't able to go private. She wasn't able to do anything else. She wasn't able to leave the country. Sorry,
how
I interrupted you.
terrifying. No, it's just terrifying. You have no choices because
Yeah.
the government says you don't. That's just all right. Super. What else you got?
Oh, I was just thinking that, sometimes it's brought up the, back alley, abortions. Is like no one talks about potential back alley organ transplants. Not that there isn't back alley organ harvesting, which
Yep.
is actually a part of the front alley horror of the MAID system, that they say like, hey, want to die, also your organs are automatically on the waiting list, so if you could, chop chop here, we're kind of looking for your liver.
I've heard stories about people who have been on the list and have not necessarily received all the care that they need because they want to harvest. And I'm
Yeah.
okay, super. What now?
um Whale. uh There's the Danish government, which is proposing to criminalize burning of the Quran by fines and imprisonment.
in Danish land.
in Danish land.
But I mean, I don't think that people should go around burning books in general as a rule. But if you're not going to hold that standard to the Torah or to the Bible or to the Book of Mormon or whatever else people have,
Mhm.
then it shouldn't be a standard for the Quran. Like,
Right. There is, it's one of those things where there is the that you have rules and standards in a society that are enforced by the government and are enforced by the people. The Danish government is not a Muslim run government. It's that's, you know, Islam is not the state religion.
mhm,
There's no reason to have a blasphemy law specifically for one religion. I mean, this is not like, how there was the Church of England and there is still the Church of England, though light on the
right.
church part. But then later they're like, okay, fine, you can be other religions. That became more acceptable with time. But Islam is not the state religion, but they are enforcing that they're proposing to enforce a law against blaspheming Islam, which would make it the state religion. But are they doing this because this is being enforced in other ways? So are we accepting that that there's a group of people who would make that action punishable outside the law, so you're putting it in a law so it's punished by legal means and not potentially more harmful interpersonal means? And if so, running down the line of that reasoning, why aren't you wondering about people who are enforcing a law outside the government?
Yeah,
Because this, like I said, the Danish government isn't by nature Islamic.
right, right. And if you're going to have a law for one, okay, not that I agree with it, but like if you, like you said, the Church of England, if that's your thing and you have a law about that, then yeah, okay. But otherwise, it's got to be all or nothing. Either you respect all religious texts or you don't. But you're right. It's got to be, uh, geez, I can't even talk. I'm sure that there is a band of people working outside of the law, and that's part of the reason of why there was an issue in the first place. Because we tend to see that a lot is that these people who have certain ideas or standards and then expect everybody else to be a part of them, and it's not how that goes.
Anyways, other
Right.
news today. I mean, this week's kind of clickbaity news about the kid who had the "Don't Tread on Me" flag on his backpack, and his teacher hauled him in, and that he was, you know, exonerated for that.
Well,
You've
they
also,
held him in because they said it was racist, because they were saying that it was against slaves or something, and his mother's like, it was from the Revolutionary War. Like, you're the teacher, aren't you supposed to know this stuff? Like, that's the whole thing I was thinking while I was watching it, going, thank God that I teach my kids, because yeah, I might not know all the answers, but also if I don't know the answers, I don't just go around going, well, it's because of this. I
right?
figure it out.
We can read a book.
Yes, we can find it and talk to people who know, because most books nowadays are probably gonna, anyway, it's another one of my conspiracy theories. So can't look it up on the internet. You'll have to, go to the library, find a book published before 1980 something to find the answer.
Oh, no, 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 no.
No?
Oh, my dear sweet summer child. You have
What?
to go before like 1915 for when they reoriented American history to be seen in financial terms and not by principle.
I didn't know that. For
There you
real?
go. Yeah, you got to dig a little deeper.
Wow. Okay. I don't even know.
I think it's 1915, somewhere in there. Buy older books. Keep them really close and don't let anybody take them.
Okay. I'll work on that. So, any other horrible news for us, or are we good?
I think we're good. I mean, it's Trump indictment week. Woohoo! It comes around sooner every 2 days.
I still have my climate change decorations up.
Oh
I didn't know we were in
no.
indictment season. Damn. Space lasers. I was ready for
Like
space lasers.
you're standing on top of the building, like the 1 gallon Independence Day, welcoming the aliens, and you're like, oh wait, crud.
Yeah. That was a bad day. All right. Well, I guess that's pretty good then. I don't know the answer to anything else. I'm gonna go to bed. But you see how far I've gotten already? It's small, but hey, we're gonna practice color work. It's a fairly simple color work. You don't have to catch the floats. I'm used to working with 2 yarns. I'm pretty happy with it. See,
Nice.
like I said, the colors, I dyed the colors. The idea came into my brain like this, and now I know what I'm doing for almost all the sections. So I'm pretty stoked.
Awesome.
These are the things that make me happy. This is I am a simple woman. My kids are happy. My knitting is working out. It's a good day. Well,
That's
except for
always a
the head thing.
that's always a good feeling though. When your knitting
Yeah.
sorted out, things are better.
That is true. So, how about this? Chicken Lady, Fiber Arts. You can get an ornament kit. Yay! It comes with stuff in it. Yay!
By a real
There's some
professional
measuring
hand
tape.
dyer.
Hey, I think that if I sent out my stuff and said that it came from her, I don't know that anyone could tell the difference. It was that good. I'll send you some pictures. Anne's going, yeah, okay. I would never do
Not that
such a
I
thing.
want
I'm
to
just
die.
saying.
Not that I want to doubt you, but Lynn is pretty good.
All right, fine. I'm not that good, but not so bad either. I think it turned out pretty good. So, enter to win the ornament kit. Use the code baby20pik for 20% off of her whole store. You can go to chickenladyfiberarts.com to find her stuff.
Yep.
Um,
Maybe
have a happy
make a
Labor
little
Day.
something. Yeah. Have a happy Labor Day. Yay, commie holidays. But yeah, maybe make a little something with the baby 20 PIK code for Amy of Two Sisters, her Let Them Live knit along for that
Yep,
organization.
she needs blankets and hats for older babies and toddlers and different things. So if you feel moved, you can make those for her. And if you need to know what to do, you can always message her on Instagram, Two Sisters and Some Yarn, Pro Life Knitter. So cool stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
and our pals, Stephanie of Texas Peach Knits, Holly of Mystery Mouse Yarns, and new to me podcaster. I might get her name wrong, but I believe it's Woldenburn Knits.
Okay,
I'm
I
not
haven't
sure.
heard of her.
Anyway, she seems really nice, but I'm sorry if I got her name wrong because like I said, I'm only just now listening to her podcast. But they are putting together a I'm going to lose the name, but it's the something about literature and fancy needlework club. And
Oh,
they're
cool.
yeah, so they're reading Old Fashioned Girl by Louisa May Alcott and knitting lacy things and having a grand old time. So that seems
Sounds
like a fun
fun.
item.
Yeah, check it out. I don't know about it, but I'll get some info for you. Put it in the links in the description below.
Probably be more
So,
descriptive. I just only, sorry, was reminded of it. So,
no, awesome. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us. We will see you next week. And I hope you have a great holiday weekend. Hopefully, you get a longer one. We'll see you soon.
right. Bye.